Let me just make sure everything's working. Okay, we're good. So, UFC 309, live before lock. It'll be open for questions whenever anyone wants to ask. Basically, what I want to talk about today, mostly, and this is something I've been recently paying attention to, is late line movement in UFC DFS. I feel like no one really talks about it. No one really keeps up with it, and I think it's extremely important. You can kind of equate it to late swaps. Why do you late swap in NBA? Because the information you have at the present moment is probably better than the information you had 2 hours ago, right? New information it's always better than old information. And it's no different really with UFC. If you're running projections and you're running your best plays based on the analysis you did on Wednesday, on Thursday, maybe even on Friday, it's not going to be as good as the analysis you do hours before lock. It's just not. So that's what I've been doing. And this week we have another big example of a key late line movement spot. And Warren Mora, we already talked about her yesterday as being one of the best underdogs on the slate. Well-rounded, good floor, good ceiling, good win odds, everything. Now she has even better win odds. She's the literal favorite to win. She's more likely to win the fight, according to Bet Online, very sharp betting market for UFC. And minus 115 at 7.5K with the wrestling upside and everything else we already talked about. It's an extremely good play. Like it's almost something that you have to play it in cash for sure, and you have to make sure you get a ton of it in all contests because the math it just is what it is. The math is very good for her only being 7.5K with the metrics that she's showing. Besides that, you have Mickey Gall getting a little bit of steam. He's up to minus 160. So he has a touch of line value here at 8.3K. This Tybura fight, throughout the week, we saw Tybura was like minus 140. Now that line's crashing a bit. I mean, this fight was always around pick'em throughout the week, so no big change in that fight. And then Damon Jackson, he was around minus 160 the whole week. Now he's up to minus 205. Another pretty decent piece of line value there. And then Eric Anders just barely holding on as a small favorite at 8.5K. And Chris Weidman showing a bit of line value at 7.7K. So I just want to talk about that at first and just try to bring up how important it is to check the market on the day of the fights because new information is better than old information. And if you're not doing that, I think you're at a disadvantage. And that's just how I feel about it. Let me see if there's any questions. Nothing yet. Okay. I guess I'll ramble on a bit more unless we get anyone asking some questions. So last week I kind of did my hipster play of the week for fun, and we had what was her name? Melissa Mullins was last week's hipster play of the week. She didn't have the best metrics on paper, but we thought that she had a great matchup stylistically to implement her wrestling and potentially find a finish, and she did, and put up 100 plus points at very low ownership. And so this week I kind of wanted to do something similar. And I've been thinking about this. The hipster play of the week this week is going to be Eric Anders. Okay. Now I know what you're saying. He is the line value. He's awful finish line. He's not high output. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing Weidman's washed, this and that. He's gonna get knocked out by Bruno Silva. He's gonna get knocked. He might even get knocked out by Brad Tavares. All of this stuff last fight, and everyone seems to be on this Weidman train. I'll go ahead and fade that and just say that Eric Anders has the potential to knock him out at really low ownership. So that'll be my hipster play of the week every week, just for fun. Besides that, nothing. I don't think I have anything else to really say much for DFS, but I do think this Chandler line is 4 in the UFC. At the end of the day, he's not winning fights, but he's 2 and 3 in the UFC. And he's hurting his opponents in every single fight, and I think to make him plus 225 or whatever it is against Charles Oliveira, who gets hit, gets wobbled, like the line that I think is just off, it would definitely be Michael Chandler. I think that line is way too wide. I would make Oliveira like minus 150 if I was lining. So yeah. That's takes. Should be a fun card. So let me just do one more check if there's any questions. There's not. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you in the next one.